Bíad Kilkenny ríchan hománaíocht a go Lions na seascadaí go seachtúdaí. A chanáid a gochtú, í bhailí a thug dúchláin na gat, saige a bhaid chéir bliana.
A point here could put Kilkenny into the lead. But no, it's not high enough.
Sna seachtúdí, rú Kilkenny craobh Lion seach nuide. Craobh na héireann chéadúide. Ní ra éon cheist faoi chumas na bódne.
The moment they've been waiting for.
He always seemed to have that little bit extra when it came to craft and skill, and the Eddie Cares of this world. They're the people that I started out against, and I can assure you, you had to be courageous to be matching up to those lads.
There he is, Eddie Care, 2 goals and 5 points of the total to him.
Kilkenny had a fantastic team from about 71 to 75. Now, I was a bit young for that era, but I came on at the end of that Kilkenny golden era and started out in 1976.
In the 70s, it would have been Kilkenny. Wexford would have had a great rivalry in Leinster and that, and it was a huge rivalry. And there was suddenly Offaly came along, but they had been a decent team for a long number of years, and great hurling stronghold in the pockets that are there in Offaly. A few terrific clubs in that.
Offaly almost did it again against Kilkenny in the Leinster final.
Bhí nóíocht go géir sin idir na clubban í bhailís na seachtúidí, ná chuidir foireanna bhí tarann le chéile chun páirce ó 1969 i glufi Canis Chúige Lion na a cháilidir in Ai Kilkenny.
And so Kilkenny qualified once again for the All-Ireland series.
That was really the start of Offaly hurling, getting rid of that intense rivalry between the clubs.
Agus na himdúí go réiteach go mála na chéile, ras na Dermot Healy Kilkenny an teorann an 1970 le bheith mar bhainisteoid í bhailí, agus dorbar se meón nús a gampa.
I just said to him casually, just to see how they react, who do you think is going to win the All-Ireland final next year? So I listened. They named out Tipperary, they named out Galway, they named out Kilkenny, they named out Cork. But they never mentioned Offaly. And that night I spelled it out in no uncertain terms, what are we doing here if we're not thinking on a higher plane?
I often made the analogy that if there was a stone wall and we had to go through it, we went through it. When Dermot Healy came, there was no change. We would still go through the stone wall. But if there was a gate, Dermot would tell us to go through the gate.
In 1980 cháile í bhailí go chlufi Canis Chúige Lion. Rúmpa bhí Kilkenny, rábháileáideann an údar, champíní na héireann, a lor a craobh Lion gon 3 bliain as a chéile.
By the time we reached the Leinster final, I was utterly convinced, I had to be, and so were the players, that we were going to win. And we went out with that approach, and we had to go out with that approach to beat Kilkenny.
Ní raibh slua mór ann. Capelán daoine go mbeadh bua éasca ag Kilkenny mar a bhíocht ag gná.
One of the smallest crowds at a final in recent times.
Níor raibh ach 9,000 duine ag an gléan lá sin, sin slua an a bheag ar fad. Mar bhí gacéin ag smíanamh ní léon seansa go fáile.
In hurling, the counties never won the Leinster Championship.
Next thing, this young team came out of nowhere, and we were red-hot favourites, just a matter of going up and winning this final, but little do we know. They were a great Offaly team. They had strength, skill, great camaraderie, and they were kind of like a club team. They were closely knit, and they were fierce united.
Kilkenny are the firm favourites as befits All-Ireland champions.
Ach níor an méid daibre bhí diantaigh Dermot Healy ar a bord tréála le imreoirí í bhailí, tá cuis an áide bheith na cuit.
Is féidir gur beidir gur bheith an rud is mór ina sin ná gur chuir sé i bhfad níos mó béime ar an taobh sciúil den i maint, agus chuir sé anna chuid béim ar na mion sciúilne a cleachta, agus iad a cleachta go rialta. Agus an sin iad a dhéanamh níos tapúla ná mar a bhí mar a dhéanamh go dtí sin, agus bhain sé chuid den bhéim ón tréáil fisiciúil. Agus dúirt sé mas a rud a go rómar ag caithfh anna chuid ama i tréáil leis an slitar, go méid acalaí galore ní bheith mór an tréáil fisiciúil ag teastáil uainn ar chorda.
We felt great. We had a spy in the camp. Dermot made us believe in ourselves. He also told us what the Kilkenny tactics were going to be. He told us who would be doing what. He predicted for us precisely what the Kilkenny moves would be, who would be coming in, who would be going off. And as it turned out, he was absolutely correct.
This is Corey Corn, the full forward, first out in front of Brian Crowley.
Anna oscailte, Anna happy go bhí anna hús deire, agus tháinig na scórna go teomh. Chosí mar go hanmha, fuair mar cúpla scórna lua go leor sa cléthe, beidir gur cabhraigh sé sin linn go mór chun socrú síos.
So Kilkenny with so many provincial titles, Offaly don't have one, hoping to get their first here today. A beautiful score it was, it came all the way from the puck up by Damien Martin.
If anybody ever wants to look at a tough match, I'm telling you, that was a tough match. That was, oh gee, it was tough. The tackling of our backs. Oh God almighty, to put their lives on the line, every one of them.
Ger Fennelly here for Kilkenny.
And they were unbelievable when Kilkenny came at us.
Very closely, Johnny Flaherty here now who got their goal, and he gets away from John Henderson. Beautifully done.
Chur Mark Corrigan slither isteach agus Laochra Noel Skian and slither nose agus bhí Flaherty ag fanach leis.
Mark Corrigan here again for Offaly. Has he got the second point? No, Noel Skian knocks it out. This is Johnny Flaherty. What a start for Offaly.
Thug sin an spragadúin. Agus bhí mar chun cín leislí tríd an chéad le.
Er buinte bushe, chuid Offaly leis a goal.
Across. That's Paddy Kerwin. Can he get the shot? He's got it. And it's a point. Playing so well and doing so well in the...
Brendan Birmingham got a pint out from near he was playing centre forward, he was out around the middle of the field, got the ball straight over the bar.
Centre half forward, Brendan Birmingham here. And a long shot from Brendan from just beyond midfield. That's the most magnificent point.
And immediately I said, everything is in place.
Ach níor lí Kilkenny na maidí le sro, agus chailí Offaly an láimh an uachtar.
Away from him and it comes back to Matt Rose. He must have a chance now. He missed, he drops it, it's in the net now. So that's a setback for Offaly. Kevin Fennelly, he did that so well under pressure, and he gets away from Aidan Fogarty. Still Kevin Fennelly, and he's got a nice point. That was a beautiful solo run. So Kilkenny now jump 1 point ahead as we come up to half-time. 3-5 for the champions, 1-10 for Offaly.
Nuair a bhí mar ag dul isteach go dtí na seomraí feistis ag le hama, bhí mar chun deireadh. Agus, well, dearthach aon duine go raibh deirelinn. Agus bhí díama ar a lán den na himráirí a dul isteach sa seomra feistis, mar beidir gur cap cuid aguain an rud ceann céine. Ach is an sin beidir a rinne Diarmid an rud is fearr a rinne sé riamh beidir mar dag sé na himráirí stíag sa seomra feistis feadh beidir den nó méid na mar sin gan teacht cuain. Agus nar a tháinig sé isteach, bhí cum a geallgáireach ar. Agus dúirt sé linn mas sé rud é go bhfuil si bhabalte immert mar sin feadh fiche nóbad na mar sin. Níl doubt ar bithim a aigne ach go méid si bhabalte an rud ceann céine rís sa darna le. Agus thug sé dóchas dúin.
Will it be Kilkenny who'll retain it or Offaly? That's an equaliser from Mark Corrigan. Then just listen to the Offaly supporters now. Paddy Kerwin here for the challengers. And getting away. That's to Mark Corrigan as he got this shot. He's put them ahead.
Well, bhí an dara le anna chorach ar fad, mar ní raibh mór an idir na fórna ó hús deireadh.
It was tense, that is for sure, and that it was tight and very, very tight.
Leading for most of the first half and a point ahead now, but it's Billy Fitzpatrick to Mick Crotty with the chance. He gets the lead again. Brian Cody for Kilkenny. Mishitting it, Corey Gordon on it now. The shot from Corey. That's Johnny Flaherty's goal. And Kilkenny are protesting.
Once that goal went in, I don't know how many minutes were left, but I immediately left the dugout, went down to the defence and tried to marshal the Offaly defence from Damien Martin out to make sure that we didn't concede anything, and they didn't.
The slow shot, Joe Wall is there, but it deflected and bouncing away.
The game was on a knife edge all through. And normally, if Offaly hadn't been psychologically prepared in the last 10 minutes, Kilkenny would have pulled away and Offaly would have faded back. But the Offaly mentality was different this year.
I was so shocked in the situation that we were in. I know you're playing away and you think things are going to come right and you're going to eventually win the match. You believe that as a player, as a hurler. I never feel I'm going to lose a game. You always have that confidence, especially here in Kilkenny. But that particular day, the wind was behind Offaly and they got into a kind of a hurling storm. And as I said, the crowd got behind them. And then, with the time running out, there was no stopping these lads. The enthusiasm, the hunger, they saw the winning line. They saw that a chance they were going to make history here. And we had a lot of great players, but we just couldn't stop it.
Run fast for your mother, run fast for your brother, run for your children, for your sisters and brothers.
Is cuireann Johnny Flaherty a gris sós an taobh líon leis an slitar agus léamste isteach go dtí fiúnid agus madness an súl mar deirtear.
Championship, Offaly are the champions.
You know, at the time, it was hurting bad and you were fierce disappointed, but looking back on it in life, it was great for the game of hurling that a new team had broken onto the scene. And it was great. I mean, it gave hurling a huge injection, especially in Leinster.
Jamie and Martin, their long-serving goalkeeper, and he's so worthy of those congratulations. Tremendous day for the Midlands.
Bhí is a goin gur bua iontach mór a bhí an, agus hiige mar éis sin, mar bhí mar tar éis bris isteach in áit nach raibh súil a goin leis.
Cháilí bhailí glufi leachcheannis na héireann an aina Gaillimh an bhliain sin. Ach a bhliain dar gíon, i 98 híon, níor casú Kilkenny ar be gréibh lion agus bhódar coran bhicáraí don géadúir i díomh. An méidí sin ána chuineala gimocht agus créibh lion a chrocha le hub gon tríú blian as a chéile i 98 dó i gimmarstí an aina gat.
Kilkenny's team has lots of experience from goalkeeping.
Ride gochtú dó, Clufi Canish, chuige lion. Í bhailí, champagne na héireann, a lot of créibh lion gon tríú blian as a chéile. In an ai, foireann ocroch Kilkenny.
Is cúnta mór pell is a Offaly. Agus bhí daoine ag dul gníon clé sin is dócha ní raibh siad ag éon clé amhánaí ag bríomh ribh sin. Agus an so, de bhí siad ag dul sús go dtí parc an crócaigh, agus bhí siad dul isteach go na Chailcheannig, a bhí ann is na blianta. Agus ní amháin go raibh siad corbrúar, bhí siad ag bóra.
We were going for our third Leinster final in a row. That meant that Kilkenny hadn't won the two previous Leinster finals, which was something serious from a Kilkenny point of view. So Kilkenny, I knew well Kilkenny were going to be all out for this.
Pat Carroll of Offaly and Brian Cody of Kilkenny, the opposing captains, joined referee John.
We knew that in 1982, Kilkenny being Kilkenny, they do not like being beaten. And we knew well they'd be coming for us with all guns blazing. But we were confident in our own ability that we would prevail.
De bhí fear nuas dócha ag Chailcheannig, bhí meascathe is na seanóirí, ach de bhí lads nua óg tar éis tactisteach. Ní léon doubt go raibh siad in na bheonacha go mú siad ar Offaly, in 98
We had a strong team. We had a great spirit in the team as well. We were working very, very hard, and there was a great motivation in the team and a great desire in the team to go on and be successful. Obviously, it was going to be very, very difficult and a huge challenge for us. But we were ready for that challenge.
That's the first score of the game.
Dulles Jack the English Kennish, bhí mar cínte go meach sé an Jacker, bín sort comórtas aiginte le bóchant chumá le comórtas amáníochta.
It was a huge game, a championship match, Croke Park, Summer's Day. There wasn't much room available, and I mean, if you made a slip, if you fell or anything like that, and your opponent had the ball, you can guarantee it was a score, a goal or a point. So everyone just gave every ounce of energy that was in them.
Perhaps now we'll have the Leinster final we expected.
Bhí is clé tacticúla bhí ann an lá sin, mar is dócha de bhí siad bhí an dáir na tuairt respect don ar nela, Bhí sort shadow boxing ar siúl feadh an céad beidir 10 nó 15 nóméad. Agus bhí na cosantóirí bhí siad an nuachtain ní leon dát fao sin, bhí sé annaíocha chun scór na áil.
Both sets of backs proved to be masterful in this final.
An sór tactic a bhí a gcuine ná go raibh argaid thusathe ag chur anamhrú lína lechosantí Kilkenny. Agus chuir sé sin isteach beidir ar an sort saláthir a bhí ag teacht suas chuoine. Agus beidir gur rinne sé sin rudí beagán in níos éas go dúin.
Very tentative really. Mark Corrigan not so tentative here now. Liam Currams was loose. Liam Currams with...
All the half forwards had gone in around the 21, you know, trying to get scores, and the whole thing was crowded up, and Offaly were clearing ball after ball, and there was no space or blocking and hooping.
Kilkenny. And the attendance was then just over 9,000. This is Mark Corrigan to Johnny Flaherty. He takes the point.
Chrutha an plán imar seo deis iontach ar chóil go fára córan í bhailí.
If I got that goal, we could have put Kilkenny away. And that was one I felt I should have scored. Now, it's no skiing, but I still felt I should have scored it.
There are increasing signs then that Offaly are gaining control.
I felt that we were on top and were pushing on to win that game.
Pat Carroll still, this time to Johnny Flaherty.
Offaly were very, very strong in the second half. I remember we were defending and we were finding it difficult enough, and we needed a score. Having said we needed a score, I think we needed a goal.
Ach níor a Kilkenny a fáil deisiid be ar chóla scóráil.
Eugene Coughlin then for Offaly with the free. Swinging it to Paddy Kerwin. He plucks it out of the air. The shot from Paddy Kerwin. It's a beautiful point.
It looked like Offaly were heading for victory. And then the ball came in. Dick O'Hara, he was our cornerback. He's a long ball down the field, and it was going... looked like it was going wide.
Dick O'Hara, great catch around the corner, back and he gets away from Paddy Kerwin and Pat Carr. Matt Root bounces off his fingers, Damien Martin.
Scriven lum gur sleaunig an slitter uine go léir. Agus nuair a dúmpig mise chunig me go raibh an slitter bhí sé imethe thar an bundín and he then doughty my agna.
Bounces off his fingers, Damien Martin is out, he lets it go over.
Damien Martin came out of the goal to police it wide, and the defender was said he'd been left-handed. He was able to hook the hurley around him, you know, and flick the ball back.
Now, as far as I was concerned, it had crossed the line. But Liam Fenley's rightly played the whistle, and Matt Root was standing in the front of the square, and he just tapped it in.
He lets it go over, but this must be a goal. Damien Martin was allowing that go over the line. The full forward, Liam Fennelly, knocked it back into play, and Matt Root put it into the net.
Níor bhog an muir cool ar chorbe, agus rinnemer gachir ar chun lauert leis agus geran í enach bhí sé rá enach bhí an cool tócha do Kilkenny agus bín deire leis an scéal.
It was still only worth 3 points, and it levelled the match. And we still had plenty of time to win after.
We had enough time after that goal to come back, but that goal knocked the stuffings out of us. And I suppose it was the first time that we had got really a sucker punch, because we genuinely believed we were better than Kilkenny. We were extremely confident we were going to win. And they, I suppose, came in, and like, you should never underestimate Kilkenny.
Up to that score, like we were the better team, but we didn't finish well, and you know the goal was a slip up.
William Moore about the winter of Offaly, you know. Chuig an crísí is stoch, cúpla an Rory timpeall na haite, agus bhí sprid Kilkenny, bhí sé gairí an ard an Tom Gael, agus landsiad mar sin go dtí deir an cléthe.
Matt Root with the chance, shot blocked. Comes to Richard Power, and then Ger Fennell. Time is running out now for Offaly.
I suppose it was a lesson to us that we were a little bit overconfident, and we shouldn't have been. We were new on the scene. We shouldn't have been as cocky as we were, but unfortunately we were, you know.
It's all over. Kilkenny are the new Leinster champions.
The perverts are back.
Rú Kilkenny craobh na héireann an 18 ach a bhliain dar cían casú bhailí orthb gan tríú uaireann amach deireadh bliana. An báta seo is í bhailí a bhíon tocras.
You know, it's na scéalta go léir agus an build-up go léir go dtí an cléthe. Sin ní na rudí bhí arrás an nuachtáin, you know. an raibhantá ag Kilkenny in 1982 agus de bhí gá céanna stocha de bhí.
1983 Leinster final, you know, obviously we had Offaly were a huge team at the time, you know, and serious opposition for ourselves, and we had a fine panel of players and a real genuine spirit within the whole setup as well. They got a good start in that game and they took the lead early on.
About 40 metres from his own post. Remember, the breeze is behind him. It's not a very strong one. Mark Corrigan got a stick to that.
It was a frantic game, and from the point of view of pace, there was a real pace to the game, and there was end-to-end stuff. You really have to be on your toes when you're playing against Offaly. You know, you really have to be ready for anything because the ball can be whipped in any direction, really.
It's blocked by John Henderson. This is Mark Corrigan. He's unmarked and he takes the point.
Ach níor a tosaithe Kilkenny a cuimhnú achar rudháin a lásin.
Turning inside. The shot now from Harry and he gives Kilkenny back the lead.
Jo, Kilkenny score amháinach chuig go fáile sús na parachas fuair sé ceann eile.
Now Joachim Kelly and Johnny Flaherty running to his right. Joachim Kelly, that's a magnificent point.
Leat slí stocha tríd an dar le chuir slite go tapig sús go dtína tosathe agus bhí cúpla imróí an dainséireach ag Kilkenny an tam sin.
Cut off by Joe Hennessy. This is Liam
Fennelly, who came out from the corner forward position and he flicked the ball into Christy Heffernan, and Christy got a fantastic goal.
It just had to be a goal.
It had been nip and tuck up to that, point for point, and there was one goal going to decide this game probably, and again we had that little bit of luck. It just happened Christy was in the right place at the right time.
You know, you can sort of plan goals if you like, but I mean very, very seldom it happens like that, you know, and that was it, you know. That's not something from the training ground or the coaching manual or anything like that. It's just part and parcel of the way games go.
Binder an clé, you know, fechan siarnis chun fearing ará. Agus is tócha cé go raibh an muoín go láidir go fáile, you know, sin buile anna láidir fadisteach sa crí.
There was a point in the game, whoever got the goal was going to push on and win it. And Kilkenny got that goal. And you know, that was typical Kilkenny. And we weren't able to come back after. That was it. We were gone.
And it's all over. Kilkenny are still the Leinster champions. They were level 6 times in this Leinster final. Unfortunately, it wasn't the thrilling game, the dramatic game that we had expected.
Is het Kilkenny a brunú corn vakári an bhliain. Honnig garú stair na homonaíochta mar gheall an saige seo. Bhí Offaly tacaí leis ón más agus chuidir an nóíocht le Kilkenny. Bhaine de ráid amach a glufi canis láin, chuileh líon go dtíanaí deagnaíocha a grúchan craobh na héireann gon dar na báta in 1982.
The best thing ever happened to this Offaly team came to the fore, and when you look back in the 80s and 90s and that, the Brian Whelans and all these lads came on, and they came on because of that great Offaly team. They saw these lads winning all Irelands and they said we can do that as well.
Looking back on Kilkenny, I would say it was a sort of a friendly rivalry that was there with Kilkenny more than anything else. They would always go out of their way to make you feel comfortable, make you feel at home. They would tell you where you were making your mistakes, which I've always found absolutely brilliant. And to this day, if I go down to Nolan Park for a match and meet the older players, they're still anxious about Offaly hurling.